for me as a musician, as an artist, is to like be making a living, being a part of something that's like new and relevant and creative.
100%.
That's the ultimate dream.
And so
now along the way, we're going to play in churches. We're going to play in cover bands. We're going to do all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
On our journey.
And welcome.
We're back. That was new.
Welcome to the Music and Them podcast. Brought to you by the DrumTrax app. We're out here. You understand me? Download DrumTrax app right now. I am Legendarius 51.
Sam God over here.
My name is Damani. What's good, y'all?
The creator of the DrumTrax app.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal.
Stop.
And today we're going to be talking about cover bands
All
and
things
playing
cover
with
band,
cover
man.
bands.
And tribute bands.
Same thing.
Cover bands cousin. Well, it's different.
Well, I mean, I feel like tribute bands are like glorified cover bands. Tribute bands get paid more, for sure.
Well, and because you got to like wear the costumes and stuff sometimes. You know, you got to look the part. It's like you got to own that character.
Yep.
Whereas cover bands are just like, we're all over the map. We're playing
everything. It doesn't
but we're
matter.
Gonna dress nice.
It was always like I had a uniform. I had like the same black shirt that I wore to every gig.
Yeah,
and
black
like and a tie.
Podcast.
Yeah, well, I mean, black shirts.
A nice black.
Black, yeah, it was a dress shirt. Black shirts are easy, but it would be like the black. You just had your black shirt, your black pants, your belt, your jacket if you need it, and depending on
nothing complicated.
Yeah, everybody like I don't know how many weddings I've been a part of now in my life that they all think that it was special for their night, right?
Yeah. But how many special nights? People's most special night have you been a part of? It's crazy.
4,000.
A lot of people's special night. I've played a lot of cover band in my life, but I'm not doing it right now. I haven't done it in a long time, and I stopped doing it. I think around 2019, 2018 was around the last. It was time. Like, man, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a grind.
It's a grind. Like I played my first cover band gig in 2011.
Let's go.
And I wanted to stop playing cover band like, I don't know, 3 gigs in.
but it kept going till 2019.
But that pay, man, the pay
you
was
make pretty good money.
The pay was cool.
Pretty good money.
But it's not bad to play cover band. It was just my temperament, who I am as a person, and the fact that I didn't want to just cover other people's music, and I write music, and I wanted to do that. But when you play cover band and you play for a band that has a lot of gigs, you
don't got time to do that other stuff, man.
You don't. I play at church, which like technically could be considered one of the biggest cover bands ever, right?
Yeah. Let's be honest. You're just covering different music.
Yeah, but there's a little more freedom in that.
It's
at
not
least
secular.
When I played cover band, there wasn't really a lot of wiggle room in terms of. Well, in the first cover band I played for, I'll say there wasn't a ton of wiggle room. Like even the guitar player in the band, he used to get frustrated with me sometimes because I would start playing his solo with him because he played the same solo every time on the same, like it was his, he had the solo on this particular song. He would solo and he just played the same solo. Yeah. So much so that I memorized this solo after 50, 60 gigs. Yeah. Yeah. And so I would just play a solo with him sometimes because I know his solo. And he would be like, give me a look like, why are you doing that? And I wanted to look back and be like, why are you still doing that?
Yeah. Right.
But he was the boss of the band, so you can't do that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was just kind of like, at that band, it felt like there wasn't a lot of freedom, but there was a lot of gigs. And because there's a lot of gigs, then you were getting paid. And so I did that. But I will say there's a lot of pluses to playing cover bands. Like I play a cover band here in Northern California because I'm from Sacramento. And when I play cover band, you get to go all over the state. Like all places of the state that you would not normally go visit. Like you get to see a lot of beautiful, beautiful things. And,
yes.
And if you think that, for those of you who are not from California and think that California is just San Francisco and LA or the Bay Area and LA, and that it's just big city, like 98% of California
is not.
Is literally,
it's amazing.
Farmland. There's like in California, you have the mountains, you have farmland, lots of it, and you have the desert. As you're going south,
you have, one of the biggest redwood forests in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely,
is just amazing.
Oh my God! And have you guys ever played a gig in the Santa Cruz Mountains?
Yes.
It's just beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I actually was
man.
staying out there last time we went on tour. Like we stayed at a farm just inland of Santa Cruz, and it was one of those times you could see all the stars. Like, oh, there's a billion of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Tahoe.
Oh yeah.
If you play in a cover band, you're gonna play at Tahoe.
Bro, we were in Tahoe so much.
Every other weekend.
Listen, let me tell you guys. I had bought a new car around that time, and it was a used car, but the car was only like 1 year old, and it had like
1 year,
10,000 miles on it.
Let's go.
And I had one of those loans where you had like 5 years to pay the loan off.
Yeah.
My engine died, blew up before the 5 years was over because I put like 150,000 miles on that car in like 3 years. Like that's how much driving I was doing playing cover band.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
It was a Chevy Cobalt. And you know those engines don't last forever. And that thing.
Well, first off,
I didn't know any better.
you had me at Cobalt. Yeah, of course the engine blew up. What do you mean?
Hey man, I didn't have money. I was just like, this is the cheapest car I can afford the payment and the insurance and the gas to do this cover band thing, and it did it. I was everywhere.
I'm still driving a Cobalt now, so.
But at the end of the day, like I saw, man, I remember I played a gig at the CEO of PayPal's house. And
Isn't that Elon Musk?
No.
Oh no, he was one of the investors. Could have been.
He was one of the founders.
Or it was at
one
least
of
they
the
told us
founders.
he was the CEO, but this was in
But he sold that a lot. Like
it was in
that's how he got his money,
Atherton, in Atherton, California, which is like really close to Palo Alto. Like we were really close to Menlo Atherton High School.
Yeah.
Which one of my cousins went there. But anyway, because all of my family's from like East Palo Alto. Anyway, very nice area in Palo Alto, Atherton. House was the party was outside in the backyard, and I think it was like his daughter's bat mitzvah. And it looked like my Sweet 16 out there. Like the stage, we had to take our shoes off the sound check because it had white carpet on it. And I'm serious. Like when you pulled up, when the party started, when you pulled up to the side of the house where you walked in, they had people standing outside with trays of wine glasses, handing them people glasses of champagne as they were walking in, and everything was super catered. It was, but I saw so much of that type of thing.
Yeah.
Like I think there was like one gig we played in Tahoe right on the lake. Literally the room that we were in the house, like when you look outside, it's just the lake. And it wasn't like it was like
North Shore somewhere.
Oh, everything's North Shore.
Yeah, everything's North
Nothing's
Shore.
in South Lake. Matter of fact, if you want to go to Tahoe, don't go to South Lake.
No,
go to the north side.
Go to South Lake and drive past it.
Yeah, or don't go that way because the mountains, like when you're going up 50 to South Lake Tahoe and you hit that one turn and there's no rail on the side and it's just
that's a
death.
little
There's
scary.
nothing but death and damnation
That's
on the
a little
right
scary.
side of the mountain. Like I remember I did that drive one time and I was talking on the phone to one of the homies, and I remember because once I hit that spot, I literally dropped the phone out of my hand mid-conversation.
like I gotta focus
10 and
on
2,
the road,
baby.
man. I'll call you back.
Mid-conversation.
Phone just flies off.
Like
the mountain.
I had butterflies in my stomach. My feet were light. I was dizzy. Like the whole nine.
Yeah, I feel you.
And it was just about 20 seconds of that, maybe
Yeah.
less than that, 15 seconds of that, and then it was fine. But that part is crazy. But on the north side, it's the most incline village. All of that over there.
Yeah. North Star.
All that.
all them-
Beautiful. Kings
those
Beach.
receipts Sort of,
Kings Beach is lit.
All of that over there is ridiculous. So anyway, and I played too many gigs in that area. So one gig we played in that area, North Shore, it was like there was like some executive of, or at least we were told, it was some executive of like Playboy who was getting married. And huge house that this thing was in, like wings of it. Like to get from this side to this side, it's going to take you at least 2 minutes, 3 minutes to walk, like to get through the end of the house. So it's like a lot of gigs like that. So that's the cool part, right? You get to be at mansions and all types of things.
Yeah.
And corporate events.
Yeah, I did a gig that was in like L.A., not L.A., but like south of L.A., like Orange County. It was at like Laguna Beach, I think.
Yep.
At like, the Four Seasons or something like some ridiculous resort overlooking the water.
Yeah.
And it was like the CEO of Citibank was there. Like this was like a big deal,
Right.
I just remember we were rolling in super late. because we had just driven all the way from Sacramento, which is like 8 hours, you know. And
Whoa, before you continue, how much did they pay you for this gig?
Oh, the pay was amazing.
Okay,
man.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Because I'm definitely not driving 8 hours for a cover band gig unless that pay is amazing.
Yeah. It was like $600 a man.
Okay, I thought it was more amazing than that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
thought it was more amazing.
I've definitely driven way shorter than that for 12.
I definitely thought it was
like definitely.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, but it was still worth it.
I mean, I would.
I guess it also depends on where you are in your musical journey. What's worth it at that point?
Yeah. No,
I'm sure you've driven plenty of distance for less than $600.
Yes, I have. I've driven and played gigs in LA for
person?
free. I've spent money to drive to LA and play gigs before. I've done that before.
I've never done anything like that.
I know Gold Souls.
I don't deal with you broke. I can't even. I don't deal with the brokies.
He said, I've never done anything like that.
But anyway, it was funny because we were loading into the gig so late, and like they were like, the CEO from Citibank is about to walk out here in like 15 minutes, and something has to be happening on stage.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Like I've been there. We've played corporate gigs even here in Sacramento for like Tony's Fine Foods, and for I've been in bands that have all kinds of stuff. But I'm also like, the other thing that's scary when you go to some of these places is that the roads to get there
are nuts,
and the mountains that you have, like these are.
Man.
I remember like I get car sick and motion sickness right when I'm riding with someone in the car. So I typically sit in the front seat if I am riding, and I'll be like in the window down a little bit. But I typically drive. But when I drive, I don't get motion sickness. But I drove one. It was like some gig, like off of like if you going towards Napa, but you end up on the 101, but you keep going down the 101 like past Petaluma, past all of that stuff in the wine country, and then you make a right and you get off. But my GPS didn't take me that way. It took me around like all the way around Clear Lake and coming all the way around like this weird road, and then I hit these mountains where like the roads, it was just like this. Going up a mountain, it was narrow as crap. And, and death and damnation on both sides. I don't know if I was having motion sickness or an anxiety attack, but I felt like throwing up while I was driving. And the thought of having to take that drive back at 11:30, not 11:30, because we stopped playing at 11:30. So pack up by midnight, and you're on the way home at like 12:15, 12:30 in the morning. I said, I don't care if the long way is another way. I'm not going back the way I came. That's just not gonna happen. So I ended up going around, and I was like, oh, it's taking me around to the 101 this way. And it was like a much smoother, more sane, logical route to drive than what my GPS took me the first time. But it was also very scenic. So
it's all scenic.
Yeah.
But you just want to be like on a straighter road. You could go down some roads in Northern California that you do not want to go down. You don't know where you're going to end up.
But
I swear one time I saw a UFO, and that may be another podcast, but I was literally driving home from a gig in Napa, and I'm sure it was...
Speaking of George Knapp. No,
I'm sure it was explainable in what I was seeing. I was tripping, but I literally saw like a bunch of... It was this thing I called Sticks and was like, bro... Where are you at on the road right now? Do you see this? And he was like further along. I don't think he saw it, and so I was probably tripping. But it was like a bunch of lights, and it was like different colors, and it was shining and like flashing, and it was like going in a circle, and it was like you're in the middle of nowhere. Because they tell us you have a gig in Napa, but you're really in like St. Helena or somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I used to see them all the time. When you're out there in the country and stuff, you always see junk like that.
It was, listen, I knew that I wanted to get home. That's all I know. I need to get back to the city where we can't see stuff like this.
Exactly. There's too many bright lights.
I'm saying to myself, I'm probably tripping, and I just want to go home.
No, I want to go home. Just like the Thriller tape. Get this away from me.
I'm not here for it. I don't want to know.
But also, speaking of all this, if you want to be in a cover band and see cool stuff, do it in Northern California, because it's amazing how many people want to have their weddings out here. Like there are so many daggone destinations. Even just like you were mentioning, just in Tahoe. Just in Tahoe, your cover band can make a living. Just in Tahoe.
I know guys right now that are making like $450 a gig. And they're doing 2-3 gigs a weekend.
Straight up.
They'll do Friday, Saturday, and
Shout
Sunday,
out Hip Service.
or at least I mean, I don't know exactly what they're making right now. I used to play for them, and
they're not making $450.
I can tell you that when I was playing with them, they weren't making $450. But that was in 2011, 2012. Around that time.
I can tell you that I've known people that have played and still play and do stuff with hip, and I've heard both things.
Yeah, I know that they're making more money now. I know people who play with them now, and they're making more money now for sure. For sure. And they have like 2 bands, and I know for sure they're making more money now.
Yeah.
But there's other bands that I know that are smaller than them that are also that's been making that kind of money.
Yeah.
Because they're a smaller band. But business is business though. You don't know as a musician when you're playing in a cover band, whoever is booking the band could be booking the band for $8,000, and there's 5 of you, and you all still get $300 a band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly.
Like
that's the thing, because there's a business owner.
Oh yeah,
and they're basically paying you the bare minimum they can get away with paying you a lot of the time.
Well, I mean, not all bands are like that, because I know of a band that they pay their musicians really well, and if it's a higher paying gig, then everybody gets paid more.
Yeah.
And those bands tend to stick together, and don't run through as many musicians.
Right.
But like the thing that Hip Service did have that I did appreciate was the volume. So even if you were like, oh man, I wish I was getting paid a little bit more, it was like, yeah, but even if I was getting paid a little bit more, I wouldn't have these many gigs. But then for me, it turned into like, dang, I have these many gigs. Right. So this is a lot. Like,
it's a lot when you're not getting paid that well.
I mean, and I'm not saying I wasn't getting paid. Well, I'll say this: I wouldn't do a cover band gig now for what I was getting in ever.
Yeah, straight up.
But I remember, and I'm not saying this was Hip Service, but I remember I was at a gig before. And
you're not saying it's not Hip Service.
I'm not saying anything other than what I'm saying.
Let's go.
I remember.
So Hip Service did what now?
No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, I remember when I learned that it was a business thing, and I was like, oh, okay. And I wasn't even mad, and some people were mad. We were at a Christmas party in San Francisco, and the woman who booked the band came to talk to us after we were, did sound check or whatever. She was already drunk. She was drinking. You could tell she had already been drinking. And she was like, oh my God, I argued with the CEO about having you guys here. I wanted to make sure that you guys were here. And it was in between you guys or a DJ. And the DJ was $10,000. And you guys were $10,000. And guess who's here?
And y'all were like,
and you immediately started doing the math of how much the band was getting paid.
We were all like, oh, thank you, right? And
meeting.
We were looking around at each other, those of us who were in the room, because everyone wasn't in the room. And I said,
yeah, you're doing the math.
I said, and we're all getting paid.
What is the finder's fee on this thing?
I said, wow.
Wow. And then the second thought is, I got to become a DJ.
I said to myself, because some people are like, oh, that's messed up. And I said, no, I'm not even mad, because I agreed to do this gig for this price.
Talk about it.
So
talk about it.
The fact that that's
exactly.
So
that's business.
I said I agreed to do this. So what I'm getting paid is fair because I agreed to it.
It's a fair transaction.
Yes.
I said, but I am definitely on the wrong side of the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and
that's what I said to myself. I said, other people were upset, and I was like, nah, you should have fun.
You also got to think about the person, like, the money that they might have to be investing in the project.
Absolutely. No, that's what I respect it.
And
I respect
the time they've put in,
bro,
all that stuff.
Being a business owner, you learn a lot, right? Like, but I've also been an employee before I've worked for somebody, and so I understand both sides. But like when the investment that you make, and just because you're making good amount, like that $10,000 is a holiday gig, right? It's a Christmas corporate party, right? So you're gonna milk that, but that don't mean that you don't need to have that in the wing in case something happens and you need to pay your musicians on a gig where something didn't come through or whatever the case is.
Right.
So, I mean, as a business owner, there's more than one way to think about it. And every decision you're making doesn't mean that you're making a decision against your employees because you're trying to be greedy and take the money home. But I mean, it could mean that depending on who you are as a person. But at the end of the day, I was thinking to myself, like, of course, the person who's putting all of this together, like my job is just to show up and play. His job was to organize this whole situation build the relationships to find the person to book us so that we have work, right? And so, yeah, I already expected that the person who was putting the band together was going to make more than us, but I didn't know that it was that much more than us.
Yeah.
But again, that was a Christmas holiday corporate party, so obviously, that may not have been what was happening every single gig, but I'm sure it was varies, still.
But I'm sure there's a big chunk being taken off the top, and that's why.
I'm not mad. I had to.
When people make collectives and stuff, when I just imagine that the musicians would be more like better morale if you're like, what percentage you're getting,
right? But a collective only works to me if everyone in the band is contributing, because some people will feel like, well, I'm a musician and so that's my contribution, so I should get equal to what the person who's a musician and doing all these other things are. And I'm like, well, that's not, your contribution is not equal. Yeah. Yes, you're a musician, but so am I. Let's say I want
to do the boring stuff like making phone calls,
like the marketing and setting up the systems,
setting up photo shoots,
closing deals and making and organizing, like what, and learn the music and do all, you know what I'm saying?
And I gotta text you fools 17,000 times just to get in a rehearsal.
And when you show up, you didn't know the music.
You don't know it.
So you think that what you're doing is like, nah, bro.
You're taking 6 days to respond to the group chat.
Bro. And I've been guilty of it. Like,
I'm sure we've all done that.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why when I saw what happened, I said, wow, this is a big chunk. 'Cause I mean, like, there was a difference between what the band was getting paid.
A big difference.
And what, like, there was, after the band got paid, there was probably like $7,000 left over, right? But at the end of the day, I said to myself, good move. I'm on the wrong side of the game. If I want to get that, you have to do that. You have to be the other thing, do all the other stuff, than just...
Yeah.
And people make it look easy. It ain't easy.
It's not. You gotta build it from the ground.
It's not. It's not easy. And it's so respect to Hip Entertainment and everything that they have done. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, that's a whole monster of a business doing cover band. So I played in that system, and I know, like, the amount of gigs. It was just like, yo.
Well, also, if you're dealing with something like Hip, don't they like bring their own sound, their own lights, like all of those costs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think they have to I think they build a stage at some of the places.
They've done that, but they
don't do that anymore.
They don't. I mean, I'm sure they will. They have to, but they had, like, Hip had a whole sound team. They had of course, the bands, the lights, if they needed it. If they needed dancers, they would have dancers and a horn section. Like, I've played gigs and there'd literally be like 15 to 20 people on stage.
Yes.
Real talk. It's not like your 5-piece cover band.
Yeah, dancers and everything.
But that wasn't every gig, right? But I've also done the gigs where we've played at, like, Harrah's, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you're doing a couple of sets there or whatever, and you have the huge stage, or even some local gigs. But then there's also gigs where there's not that many people, and there was always at least like 9-10 people, because there was like 4 singers, the band, and the horn section.
Yeah,
which is a part of the band, and then the sound guy and all of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't have any like gripes with any of the cover bands that I've played for. I understand the business side of it, but it was, after a while for me, the reason why I stopped is just for my creative freedom.
Yeah,
because I wanted to, and it was taking up a lot of time, and I wanted to do some other stuff and explore some other aspects of my.
I like to be a part of like new music that's happening. Like, to me, that just makes me feel fulfilled as a musician, even if it's not my music. Like, I like supporting other artists that I feel are like cutting edge and relevant. And like doing something new in the world, not just recycling like old stuff. So for me, that's like the ultimate for me as a musician, as an artist, is to like be making a living, being a part of something that's like new and relevant and creative.
100%.
That's the ultimate dream.
And so
now along the way, we're going to play in churches. We're going to play in cover bands. We're going to do all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
On our journey.
Church is fun though. I'm not going to lie to you. At least the churches that I play at.
No, church is fun. And shout out to churches for I don't know. I guess I'll say keeping musicians eating in a sense. Like,
oh yeah, especially during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Bro.
Shout out to the churches. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Because and even when you're like, let's say you go out on a tour with the artist or whatever.
Your church when you come back.
yeah, that tour is over, but you still got that money when you come back.
That's really they really are keeping musicians fed.
Yeah, I mean, straight up.
All over the country, all over the world, probably. You know, I mean, it's a weekly, it's a steady paycheck.
That's why people be asking me, like, when I see some of the musicians, even the local musicians here in town, and they're like, "Yo, man, like, how?" Like, I tell them, like, "Yo, I've been before I was doing DrumTrax or before anything. I was a full-time musician before that.
Yeah,
like, how did you do that?" I said, "Church.
Church allows it."
I said, "Why are you guys trying to make a living? This is what I don't get. You guys help me understand." I don't understand musicians who try to make a living playing in dive bars.
They don't know. I don't think
and
they know.
They're like, oh, they're like, you have a 4-piece band and you're getting paid $300, $150 to $300 to play for 3 hours.
Right. It's not sustainable
for people who are not there to hear you. They're there to drink with their friends and your background music.
Right.
But you're trying to be an artist and perform like,
yeah, and it's so many people get stuck in that Sacramento like brewery.
But I don't even think
bar circuit,
right, because that's the city we're from. But I think that like that happens all over the place.
But people,
yeah,
and they're like artists and like, oh, I'm not gonna play this gig. I'm trying to be an artist and build my following and build fans, but I'm not gonna play this gig because they're only paying me $100. But I'm gonna go play over here for $300 with 4 people and walk away with $50 or $75 a person. And like, yo, what do you do for people who don't want to hear you?
So I think that what happens is people have a tunnel vision about and they have their blinders on about how to really move and operate in the world, because you can do those, like you said, do the $100 gig where the whole band only makes $100, but also you're playing at like we were just talking about the Sac State Nooners. Like maybe the people that are there are the deans and this and that are associated with other things that you get corporate gigs from. So you can play that one as opposed to going and play, and that'll build your artistry, as opposed to going and playing at the dive bar where you get a bunch of people yelling at you and you feel good. Ego. That's the ego. Everybody's cheering you on so much because they're all drunk and they're just happy that they're drunk. And so every time you stop playing, everybody's cheering.
But my issue is that like, you can go play at the dive bar for 3 hours every night and make $100 for a 5-piece band. You can do that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, especially if your goal in doing it is to get your chops up and you want to stay fresh and you're enjoying it. If you're having a good time playing music and that's what you want to do, I don't have nothing to say about that. You've won if you're having a good time doing what you're doing. But for the people who are complaining about being broke, I ask them, I say, why don't you find a church?
And first of all, why are you complaining?
Number one,
I can't stand complaining. Yeah, it's just like, take accountability. Like, do something to change your situation. And there's so many people get in that victim mind state where they're just like, oh, this is just the way things are, man. The cards are stacked against me and blah, blah, blah. It's
I'll tell them, you're absolutely
right. Get out there and be somebody.
You're right. The cards are stacked against you until you decide to rearrange them.
Right.
Because you can do that.
And for a lot of artists, and I've been guilty of this myself, is I think people are afraid to really book a concert.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I'm going to actually take a risk on this because this is going to be based on ticket sales and stuff. And I'm going to have to actually promote this and make it about my music and people coming out to see me instead of just a background music situation.
Yeah, and I think that it's because people are afraid to invest in themselves. They want to complain about the record label that puts money up for them and the record label taking ownership, but they don't want to put money up for themselves and take the risk on themselves. Yeah. So
take the risk on, okay, I'm going to have to pay these musicians even if I don't make the money. Because they're playing my stuff, and I want to make sure I pay them enough.
Because you're now not just a musician; you're a business owner now.
You switched over,
and so I don't know. I know the camera's about to shut off, right? Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, we probably got more to say about playing cover band gigs, but we'll make a part 2. Does that sound cool?
We'll make a part 2. We appreciate y'all tuning in to the Music and Them podcast, brought to you by
the DrumTrax.
Let's go.
I'm gonna get some sound effects in here. I'm gonna have fun. But we'll do a part 2. And if you guys have had cover band experiences, leave your experience in the comments, yo. If you've never played a cover band gig, it's a good one because it is a consistent one if you're playing in a band that's gigging. But at the end of the day,
it's about what you want to do.
Period.
Do what's right for you.
We'll check you guys on the next podcast. All right, fam.
Holla.
Peace. Fam, it's your boy Damani. I hope you enjoyed the video that you just watched, and I hope you liked the video. I hope you left a comment, and I wanted to invite you into DrumTrax Premium. We literally have over 350 drum lessons, over 250, over 300 by now, drumless tracks, a community in the private Facebook group of drummers that we go live with and do live drum coaching every single week. We want to help you find your voice and explore your creativity on the drums, and we can do that with DrumTrax Premium. It's only 99 cents to sign up, so you can find the links in the description of this video. And also, if you're just looking to stream tracks, you can also find our streaming subscription where you can stream all of the tracks and all of the tracks that we ever add for just $5.99 a month. And if you're looking for more content, you can click one of the videos that are showing up on the screen right now and check them out. All right, fam? I look forward to seeing you in more videos, and I look forward to seeing you in DrumTrax Premium. All right, fam. Peace.